Hey, what's up everybody? Welcome back. Brandon again. In today's video, I just briefly want to talk about amino spiking. Now, this is something that I've never actually made a video on. However, given the fact that my last video about protein, I got a lot of questions and concerns regarding the company MyProtein and amino spiking, as well as just concerns from people in general saying they don't know who they can trust anymore and they're scared that their products are spiked with aminos. Now, for those of you that aren't familiar with the whole amino spiking scandal, it was really brought to attention about a year ago through Mark Lobliner calling out places like Body Fortress, companies that were promoting certain amounts of proteins in their brands when in reality, it wasn't the case. It wasn't a true representation of how much protein was within their product. So a lot of people got concerned with this, obviously because whey protein is probably one of the most popular supplements out there in addition to creatine. So a lot of concern. Now, one of the main reasons why I never addressed this last year, and I haven't up until this point, is simply because I don't really care. The fact is I don't really rely on supplements like whey to get the majority of my protein through my diet. If I'm lucky, I might take 1 to 2 scoops of whey over the course of a given week. Otherwise, it's almost always whole food instead. So that being the case, let's say, for example, that 1 or 2 scoops of whey protein that I'm taking, instead of having 25 grams of protein, it only has about half of that. And let's say my daily intake for protein as a goal is 225 grams. So even if I'm using a whey protein that has amino spiking in it, and it has half the content at which it actually claims, I'm getting 212 grams of protein instead of 225. And again, I don't take whey protein every day. So over the course of several days, several weeks, several months, several years, we're talking about a very minuscule amount. So it doesn't really mean much to me in that regard. Now, it's interesting with this too, because a lot of people are concerned about which brands they can trust and which ones they can't. To me, if you watch my last video, it still really comes down to those 3 P's I talked about. So price, profile, and taste. Yes, taste, and not palatability, because taste is funnier. That's why I went that route. Some of you still don't get my humor, despite the fact that there's dick and fart jokes in every single video I do, but that's another story. So when it comes to price, typically what I've found is a lot of the companies that are guilty of this also are the cheaper companies out there. So like the Walmart brands, for example, that are significantly cheaper than what you're used to paying, probably a reason why. Also the profile itself, if it seems too good to be true, and again, taking into account how cheap it is, probably something wrong with it. And finally, taste, which is probably the most dead giveaway to me, is their proteins usually taste like crap anyways. So as long as you use those 3 things to base off your protein, your price, your profile, and your taste, you shouldn't really be too worried about it. And what I think is really interesting about this whole subject is that if you take a look on YouTube, maybe you're gonna do one right now to learn more about amino spiking, the top hits and the top people who are really advocating or talking about amino spiking are people who are also associated with supplement companies and pushing their own brands or making sales. So a quick search for me pulls up I'll Pump You Up, supplement company, Mark Lobliner, Tiger Fitness MTS, supplement company, and Rich Piana, also supplement company, and finally my good friend, Dr. Jim Stepani, who's notorious for some throw curls. Make sure you add those into your routine if you get some time. So it's just kind of interesting to me in that regard. These are the people who I think that it's most important to, because obviously they want to push their brands on you as well, which is fair. That's business as a whole. But again, if you're not really overly relying on whey protein for your protein sources, you shouldn't really have anything to worry about as long as you like the profile, the price, and the taste. You should be good to go. And before we go, I do want to mention that this video is brought to you by the NASM, so the National Academy of Sports Medicine, who I'm still partnered with. If you guys want to get a 2-week free trial of their services, you can always find that in the description box below and check it out if you're interested. In the meantime, as always, keep that taste high and stay big.